Making a little adjustment there. There we go. Good morning, and welcome to this morning's Wuxing Long Pai Qigong Taiji Baguazhang class. My name is Jeff Cote, and I am the Occidental Taoist. It's interesting. I have noticed over the course of the years doing Qigong and Tai Chi, just all the practices, and settling into the discipline of daily practice. That there's a kind of comfort in consistent schedule, and then there's something good about breaking that and starting it back up. And life seems to do that. That's an interesting component of the Tao. As I try to get my lesson book of Taoism from the world around me, learning to see the philosophy in action in the natural world, and in the natural rhythms of life, and including the natural rhythm of like how we get asked to do things, life changes, like the pandemic that we're experiencing right now, um, all of that, uh, how it breaks us of routines that we've been stuck in that can be comforting and useful and valuable and life building, but also create a kind of mental, emotional, and even spiritual sort of stagnation when we don't just change and allow things to change. And Taoism in itself is the study of change, and the study of what doesn't change, the underlying unchanging, the study of both stillness and motion in our lives. And so try to take that as we practice today, and we do, even our most basic practice of things like either Wuji or Jian Chuang stance. We're learning about inner stillness and inner motion, and external stillness and external motion, and their relationships. So keep that in mind as we practice all the practices we're going to do today. Okay? All right, so a good central equilibrium. Get a good basic Jian Chuang stance. Feet rooted to the ground, feel the triangles of the foot. Kind of use the old routines as a baseline to operate from, but let yourself experience them differently. Maybe instead of going through the same way you check the triangle of the feet, feel the triangle of the feet by extending your toes out this time. Or if that's what you usually do, don't do that. Instead, try to feel the triangle of the foot first, and then from there, try to experience from your center, pressing through your hips, pressing through your legs, pressing through your toes. That breaking up of the same old way of doing things breaks the pattern to allow for something new to come in, a new awareness, a new perception, a new lens in which we can observe our practice or life through. Find a good relationship between the lower and middle dantian. Do that in any way you feel drawn to. Perhaps you use the basis of stacking, as we've talked about before, but maybe you start paying attention to the way the muscles of the core of the body are interacting with each of them. Play around with pressing down, lifting up. Make change, and then observe what changes. From there, the same thing with the shoulders, neck and hip. And then bring the hands in front. And start with that breathing expansion, bouncing expansion. So we expand on the inhale first. And release. Notice I'm doing it a little different than I usually do. Usually I go slow out, slow back, play around with changing things. Maybe only do a couple of those, then compress and then expand and go back and forth instead of doing like 8 to 10 of one and then 8 to 10 of the other. Intermingle it. See if that changes anything. See, we're keeping the consistency, something still consistent and structured. It's based on something we've done a lot, but we're allowing it to adapt and change too. So I once read another teacher's thought on this particular practice of this sort of expansion and receive. And it was really interesting to me because their perspective was that it was natural to inhale as the hands come in and exhale as the hands go out. And that was the exact opposite of my experience, which was to get a sense of expanding on my inhale and returning on my exhale. And I think that points to a sort of natural orientation. We all have a sort of natural orientation where maybe more we deal with our experience more from how we feel about the experience, how we personally interact with the experience. And others maybe experience more from this perspective of what's coming in and then how they respond in a sort of reversal of that same idea. And I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but it's almost like the difference between introspection, or not introspection, but an introvert and an extrovert. I think this is something like that. And perhaps it has to do with the way we experience life or the life force, chi. I'm not sure. But notice that it's possible to experience it from either perspective. Like, can you get to a place where it feels natural to do the opposite of what most feels natural to you? You may notice I'm switching back and forth between them. I'll do a few one way, then a few the other. Trying to notice how, like the quality. One of the things I'm also trying to pay attention to is what is the quality of feeling that I get to my feeling awareness, to my sense of myself. That points me at that sort of looking at what you can't see. Right? I'm putting that observing capacity with my awareness onto the state of being that is not observable with the eyes, but yet plays a role in it. It's like that part of the mind can look at it. So you're looking at what the feeling changes you do each one. You're listening to it as well. And balance. Notice how the quality changes as you move from that working directly with this rate of movement of the breath and changing it to a more bouncing like action. How does the quality of your body change? Like the quality of the feeling. Not just, is it better or worse? What I mean is, what's its nature? Let yourself experience it as a texture, as a vibration, as a feel, as a density, maybe as a color, the mind's eye, whatever works for you. Man, counter swing. Column swing. And counter column swing. And relax. Gathering the chi. Seven postures standing Qigong. Out and up. Press the shoulders down, palms up, line from the hands through the shoulders, through the hips, on the right and left sides. Let that work with the central chin. Open up. Interior and exterior. Relax and open. Receive the weight of the sky on the palms. Transfer it through your body into the ground. Pillar of the sky position. Out and down. Pause, get those elbows down and rolled under, palms rotated out. It's just a pause because this is not one of the positions, it's an intermediary. Using that to make sure that you're not contracting in here. You're opening everything up as you come down. Feeling a connection to those right and left channels again. Inhale up. Some of the Lao Gong points in the hands, connecting with Tian Mo, as if there's a triangle. Just kind of drawing your awareness inward. The upper dantian, the middle dantian, making a good connection down to the lower dantian. The lower dantian through the hips, connecting with the right and left channels, particularly up to the Jiajang points and down to the bubble and well points. And relaxing down. Now paying attention to the yang channels, particularly the leg, just draining tension down. Front, turn the palms out. So they're making that little triangle. Press out, power the Ming Men in the low back. You want the sense of the dantian gently compressing, the Ming Men in the back gently expanding. So you open the low back. You counter the pressure with the palms with an expansion here. So there's a consistent expansion again, just like we do at the beginning, the bouncing expansion. Relax, catch the weight of the arms into the torso and down. Press out with the palms. Make the spine nice and long. Extend and open the tongmai, that center line, and gently outreach with your intent. Grounded in the lower dantian, activated by the power of the middle dantian, expressed through the intent of the upper dantian, including arms and the hands and the head. Gentle, not forceful. Just a gentle expansion and extension and receptivity Again, outreach to receive. Receive and compress to expand out. Out, let the weight of the elbows, pull the arms out. Raise the shoulder width again. Again, up to Tianmo, mid eyebrow, or Yin Tong is another name for that point. Into the upper dantian and down. Here we outreach, expanding the sphere, sitting into the stance, Yu-Ji. And then bend the elbows, turn the palms down, fingers about level of the collarbone, base of the throat, thyroid area. Extend outward and downward with the elbows, so it pulls the shoulders open, opens up all of this. And then with the hands and the mind intent, trying to drain and extend through the right and left channels from the Jiajang points down through the ball and socket joints of the hips, down through the legs, all the way to the bubbling well, down the yang channels to allow free flow of these yin channels to come up and the yang channels to come down. Center line to be nourished and strengthened by the whole thing. Press down through those right and left channels, through the yang channels of the legs. Full, complete gathering the chi, sense of sphericity, outreaching to receive from all directions, breathing through the whole body. And then down. And gathering the qi into Wuxing, and arriving at that primordial emptiness, just trying to become empty and hollow to allow qi to flow most freely. As they say in the Neye, square up the four limbs, clean out the temple. Paraphrasing, but that's essentially it. Temple being the inner self, the inner body, the inner energy, the mind, all of it. And where you become an empty vessel. And bring your awareness into the Baguazhang and down, back out through the legs. And extend. Now here, as we move into this next position, as you expand, I want you to allow every joint, starting at the ball and socket joints of the hips and the ball and socket joints of the shoulders, as as you move away from the center and the center line, just as though each joint, you release each joint into its an expansion as your hands go up. Your spine too, elongating. Outreach. And then release, sink, just let everything naturally fold and come inward until the elbows are by the side, palms and lower arm are parallel to the ground. And the center line structure is powerfully aligned and open. Keeping that, try to get that sense of Zhongding, providing the power for the downward press. You're not pushing yourself, you're using as a basis the power of gravity and that downward inward draw of the earth and the connection between heaven and earth and that flow that goes in and down as the basis of your downward press through your whole body, And then your whole body gathers towards that along your primary channel, your central channel, along the right left channel, along the right left channels of the arm, and then in towards the dantians, and then joins that downward flow. So we align yin, our yin, to the universal yin principle being expressed by gravity. It's a unifying principle. There's an aspect of allowing it in, sinking. We just add a very light, like a joining of our awareness and sense of self into that process. Press down through those right and left channels of your awareness. Expand out and around, feeling the lower body, really particularly from the Mingmen and the Dantian area, around the Daimai, the waist, through the ball and socket joints of the hips. Again, gathering at the lower Dantian, letting yourself really centralize in this lower Dantian and pay attention to its relationship to the ball and socket joints of the hips, and through these right and left channels, the Baguazhang through the yin channels of the legs, the yang channels, just everything here. And just let the chi naturally up. Let things come in and out, up and down, gather in the center, coalesce. Chen. Kind of allow our awareness to move to the bottom, gather and condense, stand while pulling up on the perineum. Kind of make that connection from the Hui in point here in the pelvic floor to the Dantian, through the legs to the ground. Inhale up. Central channel, all the way to the Baguazhang, and the middle Dantian out through the arms. Getting the right and left channels connected to. Relaxed. As though breathing the chi all around your whole body, breathing. Just draw in, outside, in, and down. And we're just going to nice, easy, and release. and shake it up. Hands, wrists, and fingers, loosening the joints. Other way. Elbow. Other way. Shoulders. And reverse. Fingers together. Palm down. Back of the hands. Fingers together. Palms out. Back of the hands. Fingers together. Press the shoulders down. Elongate the spine. And open. Opening and closing the chest. Tongue twist from the center. Patting the daimai and the hips. Down the gallbladder channels along the sides of the legs. The liver channel, sort of the middle part of the inside of the leg. Stomach channel down the outside front. Spleen channel on the inside front. Bladder channel down the back of the legs. And kidney channel down the inside back. Waist rotation. The other way. Widen the feet, hips. Sense of sitting into one leg and pull the ball and socket try to hip open. And small circles. The other way. side. The other way. Both of them working together in a horizontal circle. Really focusing down here in that ball and socket joint. And the connection from there, from the ball and socket joint, is way in. The other way. Alternating back and forth. The other way. Shaking out the legs. Adding the legs individually, just the whole thing. Not so much working channels, just getting a sense of the physicality. Kind of squeezing in on those muscles here where it's tight, where it might be tight, just kind of get it all flowing freely. After a while, it's not tight anymore. And here, maybe in the calf, breaking up stasis. Rubbing the knees, same thing on this side. Rubbing the knee and small circles. Other way. Keep going. Excellent. Side and back. Roll under. Hold central equilibrium and turn the spine. Back up. Knee up. Knee down. Heel back. Press the knee down. And then extend the hip forward, pressing the knee back. Out and around. And shake. Other side, same thing. Ankle and hip. brushing the grass. Up and inside. Under. Central equilibrium. And twist the spine. Bottom and top. Take that stretch down in the deepest parts of the hip, sacrum, and the spine. Come up. Central equilibrium. Bring the knee up. Knee down. Heel back. Press the knee back and hip forward. Out and away. Check it out. Elongate the spine, lift the sacrum, press the knees back, hold at the waist. One side, spine long. The other side. And back and forth, two-dragon circle. Center. Deep squat stance. Elongate the spine. I know, I do this one every time just about, right? There's a reason for that. Very valuable posture, learning how to sit into this. Open up those hips. Very important for longevity. I read an article a while back. It's really interesting. I don't remember where it was. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry I can't quote exactly where they discovered there's a significant longevity difference between people who could squat down like this in their feet and people who could not. Something like 10 years difference in people who could intended to live 10 years longer. Fascinating. So I said, well, that's something, a practice I want to develop so I never lose it. So I do it every day. That way I maintain it. I couldn't do it at first. I had to work at it. And back and forth. Just letting your weight settle onto the elbow, the weight of the leg and the body, so that it opens the hips, opens up the inguinal muscles in the hips. Forward you lead, more weight goes into the hips, so you take the feet off, and just let all the weight just open those hips up. Or you try to rotate open. And back. That's not necessary, that suspension is not necessary. I just find that that extra weight helps you focus on really opening up those hips. Press up with the legs and roll the spine up from bottom to top. And dragon spine. Working with those right and left channels during that rotation. Out. Circle the other way. In. And out. Out. And I'm still doing that same very subtle dragon spine. Out. Rotating in with the legs. Rotating out with the legs. In with the legs. Out with the legs. In with the legs. Out with the legs. In with the legs. And reverse. In. Everything rotates in. In. Out. Relax, shift it out. And shift it out. All right. Let's flow through the first 8 right side dominant. And then we'll look at moves at least 9, 10, maybe 11, and 12. We'll see how far we go. So we start feet together, central equilibrium. Come up, touch your roof of the mouth. Recognize I'm going to be sort of a mirror image. Sleeping dragon awakens to find the room. I should begin. Left. Right. Roll back. And place. Another pounce of water. Split and open. Cross the hands. Look to the right. Squeeze and press. Push. Two dragons seal the gate. Dragon will unfurl and hook of cranes. Bump and single bump. Catch and pull down. Reflecting right. right on the hip. All right, let's move 8. So I'll face you, so it's easier to work with. Now we've got split and open again. Split and open. This time, I'm going to step back and withdraw. To repeat, if I want to just repeat this as a repetitive training for this one move, and I step forward and split again. And when I open, bring this foot up, but no weight on it. Step back, withdraw. Split, open, step back, and withdraw. Split, open, step back, withdraw. One more time. Split, open, step back. Here, right? I'm going to continue this, I did this open where I came up. I'm just going to follow that around. Then, step back to the right, brush path, and white crane fends off snake. To repeat that one, we step forward again, reach out. Sorry, that be in my face. Reach out, under. We're back here. Step back, and white crane fends off snake. But brush out, using the waist to expand low, and sort of a pat high. Step around, outreach with the sphere, focus from under, step back, brush, press, pat. Feel what your center line is doing and how things come from the center line outward. We've got that center line expanding sphere as I shift and turn. It withdraws, presses, and condenses back to the center, and expands from the center out again. Here and here. Outreach and receive. Expand and turn. Press and expand. Outreach and receive. Expand and turn. Press and expand. Okay? If you can learn to feel and experience the change of this dynamic sphere as it moves towards the center and expands back out, that's a huge component. And it begins to give you a centralized experience to work from. Flow, how you're flowing through you to create that, starts to become apparent under the foundation of knowing you're good, a good stable stance. I got the triangle of the foot. I've got receptive and expansive happening. Right? This one's weighted. This one's unweighted. So I step back. Now this one gets receptive. This one gets expansive. So this receptivity joins this expansion, which joins this expansion and rotation. And everything condenses and compresses and expands back out. And being able to do that dynamically while always maintaining that really dynamically strong and stable, but not hard and rigid, central equilibrium, verticality, very important, zhongding. We should be able to extend that not just through the torso, but all the way through that triangle of the foot and each leg, whether we're in one leg or in two, switching back and forth or not. It's a key component here. It's the basis on which expansion and compression can occur. Okay? Look at that one again as a whole sequence now from the beginning of the end of the Immortal Pounds of Mortar. We've got that split and open. Step back and withdraw. Step back and right crane comes off. Let's do it again within the context of the dynamic sphere. We're already condensed. We expand and rotate, continuing that expansion. And we compress as we withdraw. Receive. And we expand and rotate. Compress and expand. Eventually, you're seeing I'm making big motions to make that happen. That sense of expansion and compression is linked to a very subtle intent change of whether we're being yang or yin, and learning to switch back and forth. We're learning the actions that connect with that and how to unify and coordinate the body with it. But ultimately, it doesn't require that much motion for a powerful yin draw inward, a powerful yang expression outward. In fact, it's good to learn how to make it really powerful and powerfully changing either way with less motion. So at the beginning, you might start with really big movements like what I'm doing here to make it really obvious what the compression versus expansion is and rotations in relationship. But all of this can occur within a very, very small space. In fact, Dr. Paul used to occasionally make me practice inside of a very small space, the size of like a 4x4 closet. And so I didn't have a lot of room to move. And yet he was looking for me to learn how to make the internal feeling as mobile and as powerful as if I were making big external actions. And I recommend that for you too. So here, very small, right? All of that is really, it's the exact same action, just much more condensed, right? I'm still putting a lot of intent so you can see it. It doesn't have to have it. It can be much subtler than that. It can be very soft, but still be strong. In fact, learning how to make it that soft, that small, and still very strong, even on a visceral level, is a powerful training, very useful tool. Right? And I do that by imagining resistance, and then I occasionally will work with somebody and have them give me real resistance as I'm doing. I come here and I have them push on my forearm, push on my torso, push on my arm, and I just neutralize it. And then I move. As I move, I have them try to resist the movement. I try to neutralize their weight and pressure as I move. Maybe they grab the wrists here, keep me from moving back. See? Same thing here. Again, I might press the arm. And I just did very small actions the whole time, imagining resistance to my action while not engaging with fighting with it, but just supporting it, going out to the edge of where that compression exists, supporting it in my unity, in my integrity of the sphere of my intention, and then draining all force that comes in, into and down, and into and through and down. Okay? All right. Let's go through that little sequence again, one more time. Probably be it for today. I don't know. I gotta look at the time. So we've got split, open, step back, and move. Step back, and white crane comes up. Again, I'm gonna do it one last time big. Do bigger motions this time. So you see the big motion too, because it's fun and good to work with. It helps you develop your stability and works with muscles. Muscles are good too. They're important. Keep them healthy. But still always trying to have that internal element. So we've got that split, open, withdraw, step back. Play the lutes next, right? And it's closed. take a look at the time. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, it's time to wrap up. Thank you guys for joining me today. I hope that was helpful. That kind of breaking down that one move was valuable to you, particularly learning to work with where the sense of the sphere is condensing, expanding. And again, with all of it, it's all just change. In different ways we can experience change. And all the principles that I've been teaching, all these Qigong, these internal cultivations and principles that are part of it, including the Taijiquan, the meridian flow Qigong that's part of it, all of it. We want to learn how to have all of it in our awareness without having to focus on it, which means we've got to practice each one individually. And that's why sometimes I'll focus on some aspects like the sphere. Sometimes I'll focus on the yin channels versus yang channels. Sometimes I'll focus on the receptivity of one leg and expansion of the other, right? How all these things are interconnected and operating and in operation at the same time, because they're all part of the experience of our movement. And we want to make sure that we're balancing yin and yang, because that's really all we're ever doing. It's all really only ever one thing, right? But we want to check on all of those things. How are we handling this thing? Instead of operating off of the assumption that we're doing it as well as we can, because we're feeling the yin and yang changes. Because we may be feeling the yin and yang changes, but our structure may not be where we need it to be. It may not truly be stable. We may be fooling ourselves out. So we check it. And we check it by playing around with these different ways of doing things. All right. If you like what I do and you want to help support me, you can go to my coffee page. That's ko-fi.com /Occidental Taoist. If you want to join my Patreon page and get some access to some exclusive content, that's patreon.com /Occidental Taoist. You can also go to my website, and I've got some writings and stuff like that up there. I'll probably be doing some morphing of that soon, adding in more artwork and other stuff that I do, that inspires me through the Taoist, this inspiration of the Taoist traditions, the artistic tradition, all the Chinese traditions, really. But meditative practice is all of it. Anyways, that's occidentaltaoist.com. And of course, on my Facebook page, I've got some live streams, and you can always find out what I'm doing there. That's at facebook.com. You just look up the Occidental Taoist. It might even be facebook.com /Occidental Taoist. That might give it to you, but I'm not certain about that. Because originally they all went by numbers. And I don't know if that's ever changed and the name has done it. But if you search for the Occidental Taoist on Facebook, you'll find it. All right. So again, thank you very much. Many blessings of radiant health and a peaceful, happy heart. Shesha.